Well, at this point, Dune Prophecy, I don't think can have a payoff that justifies itself. There's a lot good in it. There's the performances are great and all of that. But it's very slow going, and there's only 6 episodes in total. So now there are only 2 more after this one called Twice Born. And I it's just I think they could have cut through quite a bit. But in this episode, well, some things do actually take place, as there is an attempt on the life of the Emperor, and I guess the High Council overall. They have this big meeting. And then Valia is manipulating her family into using them. Well, her, I guess cousin, I guess that's who he is, whatever, this poor little sap who wants respect and everything. It shows where the Harkonnens, as I always called them Harkonnens, but I guess they're were in the past, and where they regain status and power by the time you get to the stories most people are familiar with because of the films. But anyway, so, there's interesting aspects here and there about what they're doing, and it makes the reference to the Machine War, which, of course, would have been a better series, and all of that. And it's ultimately still going through the templates of castle intrigue, but in space, a spaceship here. And, of course, there's spaceships that show up in this one, just to remind you. It's a space show and stuff like that, where the previous episode was very interesting, and it had more of a narrative to it, but it's detailing the past, more details about Valia and her early life and whatnot. But here the plot unfolds, and also the secrets of the sisterhood are ever in danger, even through their powers. That's leaving them open to their truths that would come forward, considering how Dune, the main story that we know, where the Bene Gesserit are still very much alive and well and in power, as an entity. It means, despite the fact that Valia is clearly a villain in this story, she's going to win, or maybe her sister will, or whatever. The sisterhood overall will win if they have to sweep this under the rug of what those 2 sisters did. Fair enough. The implications is it all really just a part of their manipulation of genetic science and whatnot, and of course use of the spice? And that's all it is, or is this more indication that they actually are being manipulated by a higher power in this? And it seems to be suggesting the latter here, in a scene in which Tula is getting the students to do these psychic drawings, as it were, and they're receiving a message of something from beyond, knows all and sees all and this sort of thing. And it suggests that, this comes out of the spice. Where does the spice come from? Well, from the Dune movies, and we know it comes from the sandworms and all that. And which also gives some explanation to the Desmond character and his powers and whatnot, and all this stuff. And so slowly but surely, even though it's only a few episodes, but I can't say that it's really awful or anything like that. It isn't. It's just there's not a lot there. And you would think with, the castle intrigue and stuff like that, the elements are there, but they're not all that compelling. There's a few characters here and there, but you would need more for them there, and it would need more episodes. A lot of times it's, hey, when you're lacking in material, cut it short. But here, I think maybe even this 6 episodes, it's too much, apparently. If it was going to be this simple, then they should have just done a Max special movie spinoff of Dune and leave it at that, and it would have been 2 hours and you're done. And it might have looked like more happened in that small amount of time, whereas where you have it here, it's just not really. It's not worth the time one puts into it to watch it, I would think, and not on par with the overall story. I suppose it could have been, but considering on how this one ended, which was this little surprise about the character Theodosia and why she's so important to Valia and all that and what she does here. And I thought, oh, gee, I didn't, and of course I haven't read the books and anything, so all I knew was of the different films made on it. And so, of course, well, I can't stand it. I got to go look around. And there was this article explaining it. And they were all shilling for the Dune series. But still, they were giving the background on this. And no, there are characters that are capable of this sort of thing within the lore, but it doesn't really fit time-wise. And there's already elements that aren't fitting time-wise with this story of what it is, the era that it's seemingly based upon. And so they're making an awful lot of it completely up beyond the source material, which is a bit of a problem. There's rearranging things to make it fit the medium of television or film, but to abandon an awful lot like that for reasons that I don't see why you would need to, unless you're just portraying the reality is that you're not that capable of making a compelling enough story just out of these elements of portrayal and violation of what they were supposed to consider sacred and that sort of thing playing out. And in the power struggle of what it really is all Dune is about. But they couldn't, so they make up elements here and there and shoehorn it in, it would appear. Just on the surface of it, and oh, this is surprising, I didn't know that could happen, or what have you. But if you're, hardcore Dune fan or whatnot, probably not very happy with this sort of thing. So, which is unfortunate. Because, like I said, the performers are doing a pretty good job in the characters they have for what they have. But I could say that about quite a few things. Really great acting talent that just gets wasted in such things. Now, there's far worse than this, but that's not really a selling point on it. A better effort should have been made. And even with whatever they're lacking budget-wise or whatnot, that in and of itself is not excuse enough for where the presentation has arrived at it, or where it is now. So, there's 2 more episodes. I doubt that that's going to win over. So overall, unless you're, I was going to say a Dune completist, say check it out. There's some good stuff here. You might as well pass it. And I don't even know if they really do. Is this considered actually the 10,000 years prior to the movies, or is it just an entirely different offshoot entity doing their take on Dune stories that they embellished and made up stuff that wasn't in the story? So I don't know, but it's just not as satisfying as I would want it to be, and with the promise that some of its qualities would suggest, but so far really hasn't delivered. And with only 2 episodes left and not a lot happening, you basically have this murder mystery that isn't a mystery because you know who did it and why and all that. So, So I don't know. It's just how's Valia going to win this? And I guess you got a clue at the end of this episode. Because she gets outfoxed by Desmond yet again here. But there you go. He obviously isn't going to win outright, because otherwise then the Dune story never happens. So, that's about it. I'll stick with it. I come this far, and I'm not overly upset with it. It's just a bit disappointed.